Welcome to episode 337 of Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey, everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games. We've recently picked up games we're currently playing, and do you have Battletoads? In this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge!
Yeah, I think it's kind of obvious on that one. I don't think you've ever mentioned the name of the game in the intro before.
You know what? Maybe not, but it's just like, when I was looking up Battletoads stuff, I completely forgot about the whole calling to see if you have Battletoads thing that was going on back in the day, so I had to throw that in there.
There you go. Awesome stuff. Well, outside of Battletoads, since you kind of spoiled my whole little what we're going to talk about, what are we going to talk about this week?
So this week we will be looking at PlayStation Plus prices, looking to be going up for some regions in the future, and then we take a look at PC gaming where microtransactions are a big deal, and then we'll close it all out with that inflation deflation on the Battletoads.
Yeah, but first, of course, you can find us on the GameDeflators.com. We're also on social media at Game Deflators on X, at The Game Deflators on Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and Blue Sky. We're also on YouTube. If you're watching right now, hit the bell so you know when we're on, and also when we're playing video games poorly and falling asleep on the couch. You can also do that to see us stream. And then also, we are on a podcast app. So, podcast applications, if you're listening to us right now, like, subscribe, comments, anything tied to that, leave us a 5-star review, 2 5-star reviews, 10 5-star reviews, or just 10-star reviews, depending on your application. So be awesome.
All the stars. We want 120 stars. Mario 64 complete.
Now, it depends on the scale, right? So if it's, hey, leave us a 5-star review and it's out of 10, then of course, hey, leave us a 10-star. That's how it has to go, right? All right. So let's go into what we are currently playing and what we picked up. So where are my pickups? Okay. My first pickup is over here. You can't see it. So I picked up a NAS system, which is a network attached storage for PC people out there, and for Rhyme. And I also picked up 2 10-terabyte hard drives, Western Digital Red Plus hard drives. Pretty good chunk of change that I had to put towards this. But basically, the way it works out for a NAS system, not to get into all of the crazy lingo, but you could set up what's called a RAID. I'm doing a RAID 1 where you have essentially 20 terabytes of data split into 10 and 10, of course, and then you have on your PC hard drive that you're able to basically mirror the data on one hard drive and then essentially back it up, even though it's not a backup on RAID, onto those hard drives. So what you have is redundancy where each hard drive, let's just say I have 5 terabytes of data on my big drive on my main computer. Each of those hard drives gets 5 terabytes of that same data, and then the other one mirrors the 5 terabytes. So essentially, I've got 3 hard drives with the exact same data, is what it comes out to. So it's really for protecting my data, essentially. So any videos that we have for the Game Deflators, any audio, family pictures, any books I might have, things like that, I can go ahead and throw it onto those 3 hard drives. And then down the road, I'm going to buy another 14 terabyte hard drive as a cold storage backup where I'll throw all of that. So there's a lot going on in there. But long story short, I have redundancy with my system. So if a hard drive dies, I have 2 other hard drives with the exact same data. If 2 hard drives die, I've got 1 hard drive so I can get another one. If all 3 die, I have a cold storage backup. If all 4 die, I'm just fucked. So
yeah,
that's really what it comes down to.
At that point, there's probably worse things going on in your life. If all 4 hard drives bite the dust, you've got some bad luck. You probably fell off a ladder or something. You're dealing with bigger problems at that point.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend, and the way we kind of discussed it was and the only thing that you don't have protection on is if your house burns down, then you're kind of screwed in that respect, right? So the 5th hard drive would essentially be if you did cloud storage, so that way all your stuff is backed up to cloud. That would be your other option technically.
I always remember this story I heard. I can't remember where, but some author, every time he finishes whatever the latest chapter he's working on, he backs everything onto a thumb drive and he keeps it in his car so that if he's out of the house and something happens to the house, he's got the up to the minute latest of his manuscript with him.
Yeah, I mean, that's if you're a writer and you're dealing with small files, 100%. That's the best way to go. We unfortunately deal with video and audio files.
Yeah.
Are, God, what was it? I want to say each of these audio files, when we get them, is about a gigabyte per file, and we've got 3 per, like, I'm a gigabyte, you're a gigabyte, and then our video is however much, and then that gets produced. And so I want to say, let's see, 300, it's about a terabyte and a half of data with what we have so far. So it's quite a bit, which is kind of cool actually when you think about it. Otherwise, I also picked up some new dice.
Ooh,
so
those
Ryan,
are cool looking.
they're silicone bouncy dice.
Oh,
Yeah. So they, like the plastic bouncy balls you get at a machine, it's literally the same concept, but dice.
did you get those before or after I sent you that trampoline?
Before, actually. Yeah, the trampoline picture.
Double down on that. Bounce
Oh my
those
God.
with the trampoline.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool one. So yeah, those were like $12 on Amazon.
That's
when we
fun.
were on Game On Expo last week, I saw a number of like silicone dice for sale. I'm like, oh, these are actually kind of fun. How much are they? $25. Like, what they were doing was basically buying off Amazon or something and selling it for double the price. Some of the vendors. So I was like, yeah, I'll go find them on my own and do it that way. But there's tons of different colors. Now, there were some at Game On Expo that I kind of wish I would have picked up. There was like a light blue one with like white, numbering on the inside, which is obviously like from some website. And not off Amazon because I couldn't find it there. But yeah, overall, pretty happy with the purchase. I'll use them probably next week when I have a D&D session, because we're doing our Strixhaven campaign is going to be taking place tonight. So I will definitely not be using bouncy dice with the risk of them flying all over the floor. I'm more than happy to use it at Joel's house for his campaign, just because it'll annoy him. No dogs. It'll annoy the hell out of him if I got bouncy dice flying on his table. So
they're for other people's home.
Yeah, exactly. Other people's time, not my own. I value my time in D&D. Well, and then with my house, when we play D&D, we have 2 babies, like, running around. Well, not running around. Genevieve's not running now, but like my kid running around, and then we try to get set up, and it's just mayhem. So I'm like trying to talk over babies and everybody else. Like it's nuts. For whatever reason, at Joel's house, it's not as big of an issue. Because my son will run around, he'll play with toys, but when we're at my house, he has to be next to mama and dada.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. At their house, he's like, screw you guys. I'm going to go play with toys the whole time. And then when I'm ready for bed, I'll let you know. Here, he's like all in our business, wants to get involved, rolling dice and everything. I'm like, dude, why don't you do here what you do over there? But it's just how it goes. All right. And then as far as what I'm playing, so we beat Super Mario RPG last night.
Cool.
All done. Finally. Next game is going to be Tomb Raider, the third Tomb Raider on the PS4. So we're going to complete that reboot trilogy, and really excited about that because I enjoyed the first 2, and I hear the third one's probably one of the better ones. So definitely stoked about that. I am still playing Fantasia Neo Dimension. I'm continuing to practice character names. So I've got Leo as Kina, Cheryl, and then there's a new character who I can't remember. And then
keep practicing.
Tanzin is the other one. So I've got, how many is that? 5 out of the 6, right? Yeah, 5 out of the 6 characters. We're doing good, Ryan. We're doing good. What's going on in the game? I still got no clue, but we're doing good. Now, in all fairness, the game it's been a few days since I played it, but I am enjoying the combat system. I don't think I've kind of talked too much about how the combat system works in this game. But essentially, each character, of course, has their own abilities and things that they can do and different weapons. So, for example, there are certain move sets that you can do, like skill moves, and those moves will allow you to do, fire attack or lightning attack, or there's like slashes that will actually go through enemies. So what you'll have is a situation where, let's just say you've got 6 enemies that you're facing, and there's like 3 of them that are back to back, like in a row. You can technically use certain skill attacks to hit all 3 enemies with the same amount of damage. Now, some enemies will, of course, have like they're guarding, and so when they take that hit first, they block it for the remaining enemies behind. But then you also have people in your party who are able to kind of shift their moves. So there's certain moves that'll say, okay, well, you don't have to hit straight. You can kind of hit at a curve, and you can go like skirt around those enemies. And it's kind of the same focus in that some of those moves will allow you to hit multiple enemies as well. So it's cool when you start getting into, there's a system that allows you to kind of like basically hold battles back until you get to a certain point. It holds up to 30 enemies. So let's just say you're supposed to hit an encounter. If it's existing enemies that you've encountered before, then it holds it into like this pool essentially. And over time, that pool grows and grows with every encounter that you were supposed to technically participate in. When you get to 30, you can go at, well, it'll automatically like shoot you into a battle. But at any point, you could say, oh, well, there's 15 enemies. I want to battle 15. In those instances, sometimes you have like 8 or 9 enemies on the board. So it's super cool to have that, like, where you can kind of curve the attack and you're hitting like 6 people with an
Oh,
attack.
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool how it works out. And then it shows you similar like Final Fantasy X, which I really enjoyed that style of turn-based combat, where on the bottom it tells you like who's coming up next.
Yeah,
So
that being able to see the turn order and like use slow and haste to like manipulate it, or targeting enemies to manipulate the turn order, is such a fun way to interact with like a turn-based combat.
yeah, for sure. Like that's, and it's not a matter of like, oh, because it's easier or something like that. I think it involves more strategy, right? Like, okay, I can hit that really big enemy who I know still has like 1,000 HP, and I'm not going to kill him right away. But I know based on turn order, if his little guy's coming up next, I can hit him, and I know I'm going to have another turn with my character coming up to where I can heal or I can use X magic abilities, things like that. And so I really do enjoy that. It was something I missed. And when you think about an RPG, it does kind of remind me of Dungeons and Dragons, right? You generally know who's coming up in a turn order, what's happening next in D&D, and you can kind of build your strategy around that. But when you have RPGs that you don't necessarily know the turn order, and it's kind of randomized based on like what their speed is and you know certain abilities, like that type of stuff, I don't like going in blind sometimes. And so that's, I don't know, it's fun. It's a different experience compared to your standard RPG. So definitely enjoying the combat. It's one of my favorite aspects of the game, which is good. And the story's not bad. Like, I couldn't tell you right now 'cause it's been a few days. I'm not fresh on the mind with it. But I have been enjoying the parts that I've been getting involved in with the story. And it's progressing nicely. I want to say I'm level 36 or 37. The game suggests you're around 65 to beat it. So I would say I'm probably a little over halfway right now with that title. And then after that, I'll be moving into Castlevania, followed by my New Games Resolution of Witcher, which I'll be playing on PC. So I'm going to try to stream the Witcher and see how that goes. But Fantasian is being streamed on YouTube, and I have to update all the pictures for that and such. There's like 26 playthroughs so far.
Nice.
That's it for me.
So this week, South of Midnight came out on Game Pass. So we downloaded that and started playing it. I've been really excited to get into that ever since I've seen the first trailers for it. And it's got just such a like cool vibe to it. It's like, folklore of like the deep South. You play as a young girl who is finding out that she has these powers of a weaver. They interact with like the grand tapestry of like life and the universe, and so she uses these hooks and like a spindle to manipulate and be able to like pull objects from the past and wall run and fight enemies, and it's pretty fun. It's got a really cool soundtrack. The story is pretty interesting and compelling. The art is incredible. It's got this amazing like stop motion kind of aspect to it. The voice acting is like through the roof fun and good. I've really been enjoying playing it together with my wife. She's been doing like most of the exploration and stuff, and then if she's having a hard time with like a combat or just hands it over to me, I'll play for a little bit. But we played I don't know, 3 or 4 hours of it I think now, and we just kind of got through the first kind of like bigger kind of like emotional story in the game. I think we're on like chapter 4 now. But you can tell that this is going to be one of those games where like the enemies are come from these like knots that are created in the tapestry where like pain and grief and things have been having or people have experienced great loss, and like you're kind of chasing like the ghosts of people like escaping through like the Underground Railroad and stuff in like kind of flashback sequences and things. So there's a lot of powerful imagery and good storytelling. People were really positive on this game when it came out. A lot of people did say that, you know, it's a little bit more basic in some aspects, so don't expect, you know, really hardcore platforming challenges or, you know, very in-depth challenging combat. But I do find that combat is like it's keeping me on my toes. It's not like it's something you just walk through like a Kirby game by any means. But yeah, we're having a really good time with that. Definitely recommend if you've got Game Pass to check that one out. Let's see.
That one was on my list when I saw that Xbox showcase a while back. It's been a bit, obviously, but seeing a name, I was like, oh yeah, I remember something similar to that. It reminded me of Kena Bridge of Spirits a little bit, and that's what kind of caught my attention because I really like that game, and that's one that you and your wife should play next.
Yeah,
I think she would really like Kena for sure.
Is that a PlayStation only game?
I think it's on PC as well.
Okay.
But it might be PlayStation only, but it's on PS4.
Okay.
Let's see, Kena Bridge of Spirits.
For some reason, I was thinking that was like a PS5 game.
No, it's on Xbox as well.
Okay, dope.
Yeah,
you check that out.
Yeah, she would really like. It's got the little like soot creatures and such. Well, not soot creatures, but you know what I mean. Like it looks like them, the little spirit creatures, and it's fantastic story, great gameplay, great graphics, etc. So I think she would enjoy it.
Yeah, I had also been playing a little bit of that Ed, Edd n Eddy game on the GameCube, but I got kind of stuck at this part where you have to like first person water balloon shoot at the Canker sisters while they're like coming at you, and I just like I don't know, man, I must be doing something wrong or just getting horribly unlucky, but I sat there for like 10 minutes dying like every minute just trying to like do this, and it just was not happening, and I just got frustrated and turned it off and haven't played it since.
Sounds like after the Nintendo hard games, we got to go and play GameCube hard games, and Ed, and Eddy's on the list.
Right. And then I've been playing a lot more Deep Rock Galactic. I've been just kind of like going in and doing like host public for if anybody wants to join in. Otherwise, you just kind of play solo. But it makes it so, you know, people can hop in, and that makes it a lot easier in some missions. It's been pretty fun. The progression has been really good. It's interesting. They have like 6 different battle passes for all the different previous seasons that have occurred. And you can go in and switch between them whenever. They're all totally free, so you just kind of pick which one you want to level up in. You get like cosmetics and all kinds of different stuff leveling up. There's a pretty good diverse array of mission types. There's like assignments that you get where it's like, all right, you do these 4 missions and then you get this thing. So that's how you like unlock new weapons and things. I guess each class has 3 different weapons for their primary and secondary slots. So I'm playing as the engineer. I think I'm at like level 20 now, and I've got like the starting 2 weapons, and then I unlocked a second primary and a secondary weapon, and now I'm working on my 3rd primary weapon for that character. It's a good time. I really do see why like some people have like tons and tons of hours put into this game. I can tell because you've got like 2 different levels. So you've got your like level for your character, and then you've got kind of like your level for your profile. And I think like every 2 or 3 character levels are like a profile level. So like that's like the blue number. And I've seen people that have like a 600 plus blue level. So they've like you can, if you've ever played Call of Duty, you can like prestige like once you hit max level and start back at the bottom, but you get like a star on your icon or whatever. This has that kind of system. So like people must have just prestiged like hundreds of times on all these characters over time, and it's a fun time. People are really down to like go into a map and kind of like help you out, but it doesn't seem like anybody's like really on voice, so you just kind of like hit the thumbstick in and you hold your pickup axe over your head and say like a random line, and everybody's just like, yeah, rock on. And everybody's just like having a good time with it.
Well, I mean, that kind of loops into, I mean, we could probably do your article next in a moment here, but like, playing older games. And I mean, if somebody's going hundreds of times into like this prestige thing for Deep Rock Galactic, like they're not really playing any other games. Right?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those games. Like I kind of got away a while ago. I was playing, a bunch of League of Legends and other online games, and I was like, you know what? I really would like to play more just like games that you can finish to like kind of get something out of it, instead of just kind of dumping all this time into like kind of an endless, pot of nothing. But there's room in your life for all different kinds of games at different times, and every once in a while you do get, or at least I get sucked into one of those. Usually it's like some kind of roguelike or something that eats up 20, 30 hours of my time. I'm about 25 hours into Deep Rock now.
But even like roguelites, there is kind of an end in sight, as you progress through the game, right? Like there's a final piece, whereas Madden or, some like Call of Duty, when you're playing online multiplayer, Apex Legends, there's really no end in sight. It's just continuing to grind out and play that game. And yeah, you're getting good at it, but and it's nothing against it, like at all, right? Like that's fine. If you enjoy playing one game or several games and that's what you do, cool. Like no big deal. Like you said, I like to play games into completion and, get different experiences across the board of those different games, which is why it's great that we had the podcast, right? So it kind of forces us into a mode of playing titles that we normally wouldn't play, different experiences, and then maybe find something new that we'll want to continue playing down the road or something similar.
Yeah, I wonder how many of those experiences of falling asleep playing games really stick with you, John. You're halfway through a game, you're like, I don't know who any of the characters are. I don't know what we're doing. I'm throwing side attacks and hitting 9 guys.
It takes a while. But the thing is, it's RPGs. That's the issue, right?
Yeah.
So if I was playing a very short game, like what is it? Beyond the Beyond, I think is what it's called, right? It's the one with the character that she's able to kind of see into the future and such. I forget. I don't know. It's been a bit, but there's different games like this, the narrative storytelling type games like that, like Heavy Rain, that one, like that style of game has been great. Like they're super quick. You get acquainted with who the characters are. You enjoy the story. They're great gameplay. And then you jump out and you go to your next experience, right? These RPGs are difficult for me right now, mainly because I'm just so worn out that by the time the end of the day comes through, I'm just so relaxed and I'm done, right?
Yeah.
And so I start getting 30 minutes, maybe an hour into a game, and I start falling asleep. And it's hard to like maintain that consistency as well when you're kind of at our age. And in my case, with a son and such. So
yeah, you're a parent.
Yeah,
I have no excuses. I just
well, parent, but I mean, you're a homeowner too, though, right? Well, not right now because you recently moved and you're renting. But like when you own a home, there's crap to do as well, which is why I spent like weeks working on my garage. And like the other day, I was working outside. And like, are those hours that I could spend playing games? Yes, but I have other responsibilities that I have to, kind of tend to. And so then I'm stuck with like, cool, it's like 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. I'm going to play a game for maybe 30 minutes to an hour. And yeah, I knock out. And so there's not this consistent, if I had maybe 2 to 3 hours a day where I was consistently playing one of those games, hell yeah, I'd remember every character, no issue. But it's just like the sporadic gameplay that kind of gets you on these bigger RPGs. What I need to start doing is taking notes and like reading on the side. Like if I'm just laying in bed, getting ready to go to bed, oh, hey, let me just really quickly brief myself on the characters of that game. Just kind of remember some of that story and like what I finished playing. Just kind of keep it fresh. Maybe that would help me too in enjoying some of these. And also when we discuss here in the podcast, so I don't forget half the time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, Yeah, we could go ahead and spin from there over into my article first. So,
Yeah.
this was by Ethan Gatchett Kotaku. PC players spend more on microtransactions than actual games. So, a little bit more data comes into here, but this is all based off of a new report by Newzoo, market research firm. And they have some pretty interesting numbers in here. So their data suggests that PC gamers only spend 8% of their collective gaming time in 2024 playing games that came out that year. Instead, their time was spent on older games, with over 60% of it going to things that had been released over 6 years prior. So this is where we're talking about more money on microtransactions and more time spent on these like legacy titles. So your MOBAs, your big, FPS, your extraction shooters, all those games that are, spending time as well as money over a much longer period of time. And a lot of them wind up being, free to play games, or games that are maybe just, a lower barrier to entry compared to, a new upfront Assassin's Creed price tag or something. But it's pretty wild. I would not have guessed that it would have been, under 10% playing new games, and that's pretty wild. Like I always, you know, I guess mods are a big thing on PC, but like PC is always where I'm like, okay, that's where the best hardware is. Like that must be a huge market for people always wanting the latest and the greatest so they could push the hardware and have like the best thing. But watching a lot of reviews, you also hear a lot of, hey, this PlayStation game isn't coming to PC. Or if it is, it might be coming in a year. Or, this game was day and date on PC, but the PC port was horrible. And, there's a big backlash against it. Now nobody's really, people are waiting for patches. So it's definitely, a place where I thought more people were playing like the newest, latest releases. But at the same time, I guess like Steam has these like deep sales. Everybody has like a giant digital backlog of games that they haven't played. So like playing older, cheaper titles is also a very PC kind of centric mentality. Like there's not as many people on PlayStation that are like hunting down those $2, sale games from 10 years ago that are like a 9 out of 10 game or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a big market on PC for, microtransactions in those live service games, but also like DLC and other, premium content like battle passes and things like that as well.
I think notably in that article too, it mentions that console gamers are also spending year over year more money on these microtransactions and cosmetics as well. And it kind of got me to thinking. I was in a little bit of an argument with somebody online the other day when it came to Nintendo's like recent price adjustments and increasing, to $80, at least here in the US, $80 on like Mario World or Mario Kart World and things like that. You're like, oh, well, because of the way that video games have been, you're so used to it being $50, $60 for decades, and when you start figuring in inflation, all this other stuff, like, they had to move forward to market so they wouldn't take a loss. I'm like, they've been taking a loss on games for years. It's because of these microtransaction and cosmetics that they're able to continue to pump in money and stay afloat with those new titles. I understand the price increases across the board for some of those titles, but they're making boatloads of money, as you mentioned, with these microtransactions and on games that are old as shit, right? So like if you continue to support those titles with more DLC, clearly people are buying into it.
Yeah.
Right.
And one thing, I think that's really on the horizon, and I've been hearing a lot more talk about it lately. And, they're referencing it again here in this article, and you just mentioned GTA Online, GTA 6 coming out this year. Like, oh, man, GTA 5 was so big. Like, I bought the PS3 bundle pack, and it's like, okay, it came out on PS3. They released it on PS4. They released it on PS5. People are still playing it like every day, spending money on it. It's the most selling piece of media in human history. Like GTA 6 is going to be kind of unprecedented. Like there's not really going to be another kind of equivalent to what that is probably going to be like. And I keep hearing talk about like people are trying to leave room in their release schedules to work around it. People are afraid of being on sale at the same time as it because nobody's going to buy them that weekend if you launch your game, and then you get kind of left in the wayside and miss that, initial sales boost because everybody's doing that. But like if these numbers are true and, that's how much people are investing into older games and not newer games, like GTA 6 could be, it could put the hamper on a lot of things moving forward for a lot of studios. Like Marathon, that just broke NDA for like a bunch of hands-on events, and there's a bunch of videos out there and impressions, and it looks pretty cool. Like visually it looks interesting. I've never really played an extraction shooter, so the idea of a game where all of the gear that you're using is your best gear, but if you die, you're going to lose it all. But then they're going to do like a total wipe every 3 months of all your gear anyways for like a seasonal schedule. So it's like, I don't know if that game is really going to be for me, but if it's going to be a premium game that you have to pay for to play, and it's going to be like an online game, like that's going to eat up your time, and it's going to be microtransaction heavy, like I don't know, does that even stand a chance? Like once GTA's out there, like the amount
Probably
of people
not.
that are just going to be playing GTA and spending their money there instead of trying to release a new live service game, like that's going to be
Yeah,
really edgy.
I think GTA 6 is going to set a new bar for the market. Is going to be one of the, if not the highest grossing video game of all time.
Especially if they charge like $100, like some people have been speculating.
Yeah, maybe even more than that, right? And I think it will have probably the best release of all time for video games. So I mean, it's highly anticipated. And as far as like these microtransactions and things, I think it's going to change the market. Whatever approach is taken from GTA 6 to help increase revenue for Rockstar, I think that's going to possibly shift the market into that direction. Whatever direction they go is where the market is going to go. That's kind of my guess on what's going to happen there. But yeah, I mean, interesting data all around. We'll have a link, of course, in a podcast description. So anybody that's interested in checking that out, they can read the data points from that study on there. And then talking about increases in price. So a heads up for a number of regions, there are going to be some increases on your PlayStation Plus subscription. So this comes from Johnny Flores at The Gamer. So we're looking at Asian countries, South America, Oceania. A number of countries are going to be getting increases on their PlayStation Plus to a new US dollar rate of, let me just find it, $92 for them. It doesn't specifically say what their original price point was. But if you're in North America, no worries as of right now. There are no price increases noted for PlayStation Plus. In fact, we just got one a couple of years ago where they cited being able to create better experiences and more games and keep things afloat for PlayStation. So we're increasing the price by $20 for Essential. We're going to make it like another $40 just about for the mid tier, and then a high tier went up like $50 as well, or $40. So yeah, so not exactly great in the US, but kind of in a sense, given everything that's happening economically around the world, I think a lot of us would anticipate higher prices for some of these titles and what's going on. So maybe we're kind of future proofed in that respect, but who knows?
I mean, that one guy certainly is.
Oh,
There was
yeah.
a guy they cited in here back last October before that price hike. He spent $1,400 to stack the PS Plus subscriptions to 2048. So
yeah, he's good for a while. He's good.
He's
What is
good.
it? 20, 23 years? Yeah. For in his case, 25 years. Pretty insane in that respect. But yeah, I mean, they're citing like given global things, global occurrences, we need to increase our price point and such, which again, like it's digital, right? It's digital content. A lot of that content is pre-existing, like already created. What has really changed over the last few years
I guess
to justify
inflation and licensing, like that's the
maybe?
thing. Over time, IP is becoming kind of more and more valuable. Like I was just hearing somebody talking about it the other day, and it's so wild in 2 decades how different Marvel is as a company. Like they were like not doing great for a long time, and
Mhm.
now it's the biggest thing on the planet. Like everything changed in 2008 and that company did a giant turnaround. So like there's so much IP out there and people recognize that, like my wife for instance was just rewatching Stranger Things, and
Hmm.
it's like I cannot believe like the wild success that that show had and like what it kind of turned into and how it became this like huge giant phenomenon and established this whole empire. So it's like I feel a lot of these game companies, they're probably charging a good premium for access to these old titles and old games. Like and I think the service has gotten a lot better with what they're offering too. Like I don't actually have PlayStation Plus anymore, but I do watch like news every week about what's coming out where and stuff. So it looks to me like they're getting a lot better titles than I remember being on there when I was subscribed.
Well, with PlayStation, you have all of these like PS1, PS2, PS3 titles and things. I don't think PS3 is on there right now because I'm not a higher tier, but like there's a number of titles out there that are available just because of PlayStation's past. So they already have a very large library that they can dig into, and a lot of first party titles as well. So, even if I wish they had just a tier that was like, hey, you can access all of these titles, that are PlayStation exclusives over time for a set price point. Like I dig that. I would probably jump into something like that. But yeah, I mean, I get it. Like times are changing, prices increase, inflation, economic stuff happening, licensing of IPs has gone up. Like I could see where that would contribute to increased prices over time. It sucks, but I guess
And
that's the
also
reality of it,
just
right?
greed. Like that's the
Yeah.
thing is like once they've got you, the likelihood of you dropping out over $20 a year is probably unlikely, or if it is, it'll be less people dropping out than what the new income would be generated by all the remaining people paying that extra difference. So
Hmm.
they'll just fleece you, as much as they can over time and just keep ratcheting that dial up like a frog boiling in water slowly over time.
I know what you're about to do, but I just had one comment that came up. So it not came up, but if you look at the comments on that article, it says what this actually says is we found an opportunity to raise price under the exclusive global marketing. So,
Mhm.
which is true, right? Like, hey, there's a whole bunch of stuff happening on the world basis in tariffs, even though digital products are not tariffed. So we're gonna go ahead and just say that's the issue and increase prices. So yeah. All right. On with the interrupted transition into our inflation deflation. We played some Battletoads, developed by Rare, published by Messiah, Trade West, Electronic Arts, designed by Tim and Chris Stamper and Greg Males. It was released in 1991, June of 1991. It is a beat 'em up platform game with reception of 8 to 9 out of 10. Ryan, what is Battletoads about for all of the Gen Zers out there that have no idea what we're
Yeah,
talking about?
so Battletoads is it's kind of like a Ninja Turtles spin-off rip-off kind of thing. Like there was lots of anthropomorphic animals in the 90s battling for supremacy. And the Battletoads are Rash, Zit, and Pimple. They are in this game, along with Professor T-Bird, are escorting Princess Angelica to her home planet. Pimple and the princess go out on a short drive and are captured by the Dark Queen and her forces and taken to the planet Ragnarok. So you play as either one player or two player as Rash and Zitz and make your way to the planet to rescue your fellow Battletoad and the princess. And it is the ultimate like peak NES hard game in a lot of people's minds. Like, this is the game when people think of like an old hard game, Battletoads jumps to mind, and it's mostly because of things like the turbo tunnel and trying to play this game multiplayer, because it is so much harder to play this game as a multiplayer than it is as a single player. It's like night and day, and it's already hard just on single player.
I was gonna say Ghouls and Ghosts is what comes to mind for me when it comes to Nintendo hard games. But yeah, this one can be right up there. So I will say though, in playing this game, I enjoyed it. I played it a long time ago, and I got stuck in the same area, which is that turbo tunnel. But this go around, it felt different. So the game itself, to me, like the first level, very straightforward, and it's cool because it has that one viewpoint where like you're being attacked head on, and you kind of have it from the perspective of the boss.
Like the view.
Yeah, which is cool. That's pretty cool, pretty innovative back then. So that was easy. That first level super easy. The second level, when you're going down the cave or whatever it is, or tunnel, that in particular was difficult at first because it'd been a while, but picked it up, ran through it, no problem. Picked up my sword thing or whatever it was from birds or feather, whatever the hell it is, beat some robots, avoided some electrical barriers, and made my way to the turbo tunnel where I got demolished again. But I learned something while playing it. Felt a lot smoother getting to that point. Like I got probably about halfway through the tunnel this time, whereas in the past, not even close. So I do think that if I was to take another 5 to 10 tries of that game, or that area, I probably could do it. I don't think I would have an issue. And then the rest of the game should be pretty straightforward. There's not a ton of craziness that goes past that, as far as I know. Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
I've always heard the turbo tunnel, like once you get past that, you're good. Like
no,
generally everything
so that's
else is pretty straightforward.
I watched a speed run this morning while we were getting ready for this, and like the game is very misleading, they said, because the first 2 levels are easy and then the rest of the game is a complete nightmare. So even after you beat the turbo tunnel, there's a second turbo tunnel sequence later on, and it's a little bit different. But like, there's the ice level that's really bad. There's like this whole like pipe maze level where you're going through that looks horrible. I don't know. This seems like a game where I had a really good time with the first level and a half. I made it through the first level without like getting a game over, which is good for me on an NES hard game. I actually did pretty good on the second level, at least my first couple of tries, but then I kept getting stuck on the robots. But it was, yeah, it's a fun game, but I think it is just one of those games that you really have to kind of put your head down and just like really work it out. I mean, it's got really good reviews, and I think it earns a lot of those marks. Visually, it's a very good game. It's got, a great sense of like depth with like, the parallax scrolling in the background. You've got really good, fun animations where like the toads like transform as they do their moves. So like the headbutt, your head gets like ram horns, or like when you do the kick, your foot becomes like a big boot. So that's kind of like a fun, interesting thing. They actually did a newer Battletoads back in like 2021, I think it was, and they had a lot more kind of like exaggerated animations and things. So I do like that kind of cartoonish aspect of, not being on model with a character all the time and kind of going into that zany direction and really leaning into the cartoon aspect of what looked like, a Saturday morning cartoon that should have launched a big, famous, huge franchise if only the game weren't so difficult.
I don't know. It sounds like challenge accepted. Sounds like I need to dig into this and try and play it through.
There you go, John. Throw it onto the pile with The Witcher.
With all my games, yeah. All right, we'll see. Maybe I can jump into Battletoads. Well, going into, and I agree with everything you mentioned, by the way, in terms of music and controls and fluidity.
The pause music. That's what we need to talk about, too. I watched like 2 other videos besides that speed run, and everybody calls out how good that pause music is.
Yeah, it kind of reminds you of old like 007. Pause music, just how good that was as well. Pause music back then was good on all those games.
Had to be.
Yeah. So brass tacks, complete in box, we're looking at 98.92, peaked at 182.38. Good God. October of 2021, that's trending down right now. A loose copy will run you 27.02. That peaked at 32.61 in May of 2021. That is trending up in price. So looking at this, I do agree that 8 to 9 out of 10 is worthy of Battletoads. So, it does have good gameplay. It is pretty fluid. The music's good. The graphics are good. It is difficult, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad game. Overall, it is a good game. I look at 2702 and say you're going to be surprised. I'm going to say it's inflated. I mean, not inflated. Sorry, deflated. It's deflated.
I am surprised.
Yeah, you're surprised. I think $25 is actually a good price for this game.
That's more than $25.
No, I'm saying $25 is a generally good price for this game, but paying a little bit more, not a big deal. Like if you find it for 25, fantastic, but I think 2702 is good. I think I would pay upwards to 30 for this title. Given the difficulty of it, given how good the game is, there's a lot of replayability that comes with this. Very challenging title. I think you're going to get a lot out of this game versus some of those games that are just hard to be hard and maybe don't have as good of the bones around it.
Yeah. I can see that as an argument. Let me look up something else here that we didn't put on here. Oh, never mind. Yeah, that is. I was looking because I know there's that like double pack with Battletoads and Double Dragon.
Yeah, that one's expensive.
But that's even more. That's $90 loose. So I was gonna see if that was like maybe they printed like a zillion more copies of that, so it was cheaper. But
yeah,
no. I do like the Battletoads box art too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good box art. It's an expensive box art. I mean, $100.
Hey, it's on sale, 50% off compared to 4 years ago,
where it's been before.
Yeah, I mean, look,
this is probably the lowest you're ever gonna see Battletoads, so this might be the time to buy.
Yeah, I mean, look at that May 2021 price. You're looking at $32.61. That was its peak. Rightfully so. I mean, I think it could be going for a lot more. So yeah, I do think it's a good time to buy.
How about I meet you at? Well, you're saying deflated, so how about I meet you at just right?
That works. We'll say just right. Yeah.
Just because this is probably going to be the lowest price you're ever going to be able to find it again. It's probably going to go up from here. As soon as people bring back the calling and asking if you have Battletoads meme.
Yeah. And Tim, Chris, and Greg, if you're listening, Ryan didn't mean it when he said it's a TMNT ripoff. It's actually its own unique game. If you ever want to come on, we're here. So, all right, just right on that title. So that concludes our Nintendo hard games that we've got. Next up, we're going to be looking at, I guess, the most expensive GameCube games. So we're going to play 4 of those titles. First one is going to be Chibi Robo on the GameCube. That's going to be a fun one. I've heard a lot of good things about that game. So what I'm interested to see is after we get through, I'll just say up front, all of them are going to be inflated. There's not going to be a single one that's deflated or just right. Like, hundreds of dollars for games. Yeah, that we'll just be upfront. All of them are inflated. But I would like to see out of those 4 games that we play, still TBD on 3 of them, which one do we like the most?
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're got to pull something out of it, right? If it's inflated. So more to come on that in the coming weeks. But until then, unless Ryan, do you have anything else to say?
Nope.
All done. All right. This has been episode 337 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for watching and listening.